So this is actually a record that's drawn from our collection, and it represents a time when you see ASIO, when it was founded, had a very, very clear-cut mission, and that was to uncover those that were working as part of the Spire and Venona intercept, so people that were implicated there. This marks the protest movement. So this is where ASIO doesn't have the same level of focus that it has. Some people, including the head of ASIO, Charles Spry, have been with the organisation a very long time, and they haven't necessarily adapted along with society. So this is where the organisation starts to draw a lot of criticism in this period, because they're surveilling members of the protest movement who are just protesting in the streets, and you or I might have attended protests, things like that. And they're targeting them the same way that they might have targeted, say, members of the Communist Party and senior members of the Communist Party back in the 1950s. So it's a really interesting example of where the organisation starts to lose its way. What makes it so, I guess the good flip side of this is that it leads to the Hope Royal Commission. And the Hope Royal Commission looked into the work that ASIO was doing, and was able to make a series of recommendations that would then be carried out by the organisation and really shape what they do and what we see from ASIO today.
I think it does shows that effect of, if you have an organisation under the single leadership of Brigadier Spry, as you say, for a couple of decades, wasn't it? He was in charge for quite some time. There's also a period of, it has to be said, continuous conservative politics in Australia. And it does, and couple that with operating behind a veil of extreme secrecy with no obligation to the public about any aspect of any activity. And yeah, it does show how a system like that just continues to go down in terms of losing its way, as you said. And in this case, ASIO were what, interfering with or oppressing people's right to engage in lawful, peaceful protest?
Yes, so the idea that they had, and it's a very, when you look at it, military idea, it was given the name Operation Whip, and the idea was that they would compile what was known as the Whip Index. And this was so that they could report on protests with a military fashion. So number 56 and number 52 were at location 37 at this time on this day. But when you look at the breadth of the protest movement, and we've got, lots and lots of surveillance footage in our collection that shows how big some of these protests were, it just wasn't functional. So the organisation's wasting resources just looking into students and people like that. And what the Hope Royal Commission sort of landed on is that the organisation was really great at gathering information but not interpreting it. So it wasn't looking at these people and going, okay, these people are threats, these people aren't. It was just looking at them as a whole and going, they're protesting. They need to be looked into. So it wasn't great for the organisation or for the public either, because then we have people coming in and looking at potentially their ASIO files. One example I can think of from my own experience was a member of Save Our Sons, and finding that their ASIO file does exist, but it's one page and it's maybe just a photograph and a little blurb about them. And a lot of the time that information was captured as part of Operation Whip, and those really tiny, short, brief files.
And the Hope Royal Commission was, and this is another extraordinary turning point, I think, in the architecture of security intelligence in Australia. And a triumph, really, of a liberal democracy, which is, characterised Australia. Because the recommendations out of the Hope Royal Commission were that, the head of ASIO is obligated to also regularly advise the leader of the opposition on what the activities of the organisation are about. There's far greater accountability to Parliament and to the government, of course. And also it put for the first time a definition of what security is. So what was ASIO allowed to investigate and what ASIO was not allowed to investigate. And so things like lawful, peaceful protest became much more enshrined as rights in the legislation.